Hello internet, my name is Lave and I watched 2, and that's bear speak for Paddington 2. So I was genuinely looking forward to this one because in my opinion the first Paddington is nigh on the perfect family film, so my expectations for this one were pretty high. Set a year or so after the first one, Paddington is now a fully fledged member of the Brown family and he wants to buy his Aunt Lucy a birthday present, a perfect pop-up book of London. However, the book is then stolen and Paddington is implicated, so he and the Browns must find the real thief. As I said, I really loved the first Paddington and this one picks up and gets straight back into the flow of things. You do get another flashback to darkest Peru, which does actually answer one of the questions that I had from the first one, but then it gets straight back into introducing us to the family and finding out where they all are now. And they're all back. Hugh Bonneville, who stole the show in the first one, in my opinion, is back as Mr. Brown. Sally Hawkins is Mrs. Brown again. I love Sally Hawkins. Julie Walters is also there. The kids are also back and they've significantly grown since the last film. And of course you've got Ben Whishaw once again voicing Paddington, the perfect voice casting.
This is perfect.
But for me, the most important person to return to the film is actually the writer and the director, Paul King. He did such a fantastic job with the first one and setting up that world, and now that he's back, that tone and that silly, fun sense of humour is consistent. It's just like the first one. I wouldn't say I laughed as hard as I did in the first one, but then the same jokes aren't as funny second time round. But that's not to say that I didn't laugh a lot in this film, because I did. I laughed a hell of a lot. Visually, I think Paul King is very inventive and got a lot of flair. I particularly like the fact that the sequences, like the Wendy House sequences from the first film, make a return. There's a particularly great sequence where it actually goes into the pop-up book. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's also flourishes of animated sequences and plenty of visual spectacle. He's done a really good job once again. Speaking of the visual effects, again, it's very good. I wouldn't say it's as good as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes level, but it is very good. The most important thing is that you believe that this bear is really there. You just want to pick him up and hold him. He's so cute and adorable. I think the animators have done a fantastic job of bringing him to life. I love the way he moves and the way he interacts with his world, but interestingly, I find it really funny when they don't overdo it, when you just get a couple of keyframe poses when he doesn't move and you might get a subtle movement in his eyes. It's so funny. I love this little bear. And the London that he lives in is definitely a romanticised London. It really reminds me of the London that Richard Curtis depicts in his films. It's somehow contemporary, but then it's also commemorative. It just works in this film, and I think the reason why it works is because it feels like it's a living, breathing London full of wonderful little characters and cameos from many British actors. It really is a who's who of British acting talent. There's far too many to mention, but they've all been pitch perfectly cast and they all do a wonderful job. None more so than Hugh Grant, who is playing the villain of this film. He's playing a character called Phoenix Buchanan. He is essentially playing Hugh Grant, but then he's so good at it. He's playing this washed up narcissistic actor. He's poking fun at himself and it looks like he's having a blast doing it. It includes a scene which really reminded me of the scenes that you get in the Spider-Man films where the villains are talking to each other, but it's him talking to himself through all of his previous characters. It's so hilarious. The wealth of the supporting characters and cameos never overwhelms the film. It doesn't feel cluttered. It never detracts from it being a story about the Browns and Paddington. I will admit that it retreads similar themes that the first one was asking us, in that, does Paddington really belong to the Browns family? So yes, it is doing the same, but it absolutely hits the target. And I would argue that the way this film wraps up, the last scene in particular, is really quite emotional and so heartwarming. Literally everyone in my audience just went, oh, including me. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on Paddington 2, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. I was really satisfied with this sequel. I don't think it's as good as the first one for me, but it comes mighty close. As a pair, I think they are the perfect perfect family films. I would happily sit down with my niece and nephew and watch both of these back to back. They're so funny, heartwarming, adorable, sweet and fulfilling, like a marmalade sandwich, and I hope there's going to be a third Paddington film for me to get my paws into. So thanks very much for watching my review of Paddington 2. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like and don't forget to share the...
Subscribe.